What's up, Steelers fans? Pittsburgh makes it to the bye a miraculous 6-2 following Najee Harris's third straight 100-yard rushing game. Najee got hot early in this game with a third down run that showed some fantastic run vision. That's an oft-maligned aspect of his game, I think improperly so, and he showed it here tonight. And then he followed it up for good measure with a juke, a spin, and another first down run. The Steelers were feeling the run game early tonight, following that with a toss play to Warren that also went for a first down. We saw that Warren pitch play again to Najee, and it gifted us with that beautiful hurdle play, one of the most successful ones we've seen from him. But Najee is so good at that. To be honest, he's been doing a little too much of that. I said last week he's got too much over to his game, too much trying to run over you, too much trying to jump over you. Last week he incorporated more around you, and he did that a lot more tonight. I think he's been pouring through tape maniacally and just been getting so good at reading keys at how defenses are trying to attack him and finding ways to then counter those measures. So with the run game clicking early in this game, the box score watchers will say that the passing offense didn't hold up their part, didn't play their part in this symphony. There were a lot of missed opportunities. Two George Pickens touchdowns. One was taken off the board by penalty. On another, he was able to get his right foot inbound twice, but was not able to get his left foot down. And getting 1 foot inbounds 2 times is not the same as getting both feet inbounds once. He did not get both feet inbounds. And that second play to Pickens hurt all the more because it came one play after a throw to Jalen Warren, where he was able to reel in a pass in the end zone, but not able to get his feet inbounds. So 2 misses there turned into another field goal. Combine that with the field goal from earlier after the Pickens touchdown was taken off the board. That's 8 more points that the Steelers offense was that far away from having in the first half. That would have been a big difference, obviously, in the overall landscape of the game, but definitely in the box score for the passing stats. By the end of things, Russell Wilson, 20 for 28, 278 yards, almost 10 yards per passing attempt, 1 touchdown, no picks. He was sacked 4 times, only lost 19 yards between them, though. He was able to limit the damage. Passer rating 114.9. Play action continues to be a huge weapon for the Steelers offense with Russell Wilson at the helm, and nobody is happier about the quarterback switch than Darnell Washington, who was the primary benefactor of the play action benefit. The big man had another catch and rumble tonight. This time they let him get downfield with a corner route, and Rush just continues to reward him for those little unsung efforts that don't show up in the stat sheet, the blocking, setting his teammates up. It's good to see those guys get their due as well. Some folks might be frustrated with the inability to finish from the Steelers offense and the over-reliance on the field goal unit and their special teams. By the way, I'll get to the special teams later. But in addition to the near-missed opportunities that I alluded to earlier, I think Russ actually showed that he's not that far off, from Justin Fields as far as mobility and escapability. He's not exactly the sitting duck back there that a aged Ben was. The incomplete pass to Van Jefferson, I think Jefferson may have ran the wrong route there. It seemed like Wilson expected him to cut back to run some sort of hook or an out when he was breaking the opposite direction. So I can't put that one entirely on Wilson. If you want to put it on Jefferson, that's fine, because he actually redeemed himself quite well in this game from all the hate that he's been getting, and I alluded to it last week. A fantastic adjustment on a ball on a third down right at the end of the third quarter there on a back shoulder play. It might have been a tad underthrown, as Peyton alluded to on the Manning cast. But, on those back shoulder type throws, when you have man coverage singled up on the outside, if you underthrow that, you're actually giving your guy an advantage. The defender has his back to the passer when he's playing man coverage, so the receiver has the advantage. He's looking back. The defender's looking this way. He's able to adjust to a quote-unquote bad throw. Technically, a back shoulder throw is a bad throw, an ill-placed ball. If you don't think your guy can get over the top, you throw a back shoulder ball. You hope that he can see it and adjust to it, come off it, and make the adjustment, make that back shoulder catch. And that's exactly what happened on that play. It may not have been as pretty as you would hope, but it was a big league adjustment from a big league player. I think it's time to start giving Jefferson his flowers, time to stop hating on him. He doesn't have to be the wide receiver too. You don't have to heap all that pressure on him. Darius Slayton killed us tonight. He had over 100 receiving yards. This is a guy whose name's been brought up in trade talks as far as a target for the Steelers to go get. And I think he just became a little bit more desirable to people around Steelers Nation because they got to look at him. Same time, I think he got a little bit more expensive for the Giants because Omar got a very good up close and personal look at what that guy can do. He is 6'1". People hated on that other receiver the Steelers signed. Who's that guy that Arizona drafted? Danny out of UMass. Not Amendola. Isabella? Doesn't matter. They were mad that he was short, another Smurfy receiver. If you do end up pulling off that trade, along with Jefferson, 6'1", I believe, and Pickens, 6'4", all of a sudden you have three tall guys. Mix that with your three Smurf guys. Baby, you got a stew going. Jumping over to the defensive side of the ball, Highsmith was having his way with that left tackle early in this game. He had two quarterback hits in the Giants' first drive. They were somehow able to turn those two plays into positives, though, which was frustrating as heck. Fortunately, Steelers were able to tamp down on those drives and only allow field goals, exchanging field goals early in this game, field goal for field goal. It seems to be the kind of game that Steelers are most comfortable playing. Landon Roberts had an excellent tackle for loss. They talk about him as a downhill guy. This one wasn't a downhill. He actually did a fantastic job to loop around the center, left him looking silly and dejected without a dance partner there. Nice finesse rush move there from a guy you'd expect to go, I'm running straight through your torso. That's totally the vibe that Landon Roberts gives off at all times. Other than that, the Steelers' rush defense was by and large extremely disappointing early on. The Giants' rushing offense is bottom of the barrel in the NFL, and with both of their tackles, their offensive tackles being backups, it was no secret that the Giants were going to want to run the ball a lot in this game, and when they were passing, they were going to want to get it out quick. Even with that very obvious game plan from the Giants, the Steelers were not able to stop it over and over and over. Starting with the first defensive play of the game for the Steelers, where the Giants schemed up Malik Neighbors into the slot on Beanie Bishop. The Steelers' defense is trying to do less of having Joey Porter travel with the opponent's number one receiver. They've said with Dante Jackson on the other side, they've been more comfortable just letting him stay on one side of the field, get comfortable there. I think if you give Porter some of the truth serum and ask his truest self, he'd tell you he wants that job of taking on their number one guy all day. But it might not be the best defensive strategy overall. So the Steelers were playing this one pretty straight up. I hoped I wasn't going to be seeing too much Bishop on Neighbors. It did happen later on a 4th and 2 play, but again, the Giants brought Neighbors into the slot. So what are you going to do? They created the matchup, and then they had a rub coming from the other side, the outside receiver running a slant route to get him open. I feel I needed to say that to preempt the haters coming back against Bishop for giving up that 4th down conversion to Malik Neighbors there. But he did redeem himself later in this game. Another interception to seal it. 3 interceptions in 2 weeks for Beanie Bishop. He is making a lot of people, including myself, he's feeding us our FDA allotted daily allowance of crow. Again, the Steelers defense was able to bend but not break. They were very lucky to not give up a touchdown, actually. Once one got wiped out by penalty, and again, Malik was inches away from getting a second foot into the end zone. That was a common theme in tonight's game. That would have put them ahead, a 10-6 lead, may have changed the entire landscape of this game. I have to shout out this fantastic hit by Minkah Fitzpatrick to break up a pass on 3rd down. It was a great, clean hit if you watch it in the replay. In real time, I think we all held our breaths expecting a flag to come flying in just because of how long it took the dude to get back up. Watching on replay, it was clear that Fitzpatrick got mostly ball on that hit. He hit the ball to dislodge it. I'm not entirely sure he was aiming for ball because he did duck his head and, kind of lower the shoulder. So I'm not sure he had perfect aim. Either way, result's a result. Good pass breakup. As frustrating as I alluded to that first half being for the Steelers defense, the Giants came right back out in the second and immediately started gashing us again, consistently moving the ball against us with the passing game, short breaking routes, underneath stuff. As frustrating as it is to give that up over and over, anyone who's played Madden knows that the second that you bring your coverage down underneath their guys to try to cut that off, that's when they go over the top and really, take you for explosive or all the way to the house. So you kind of got to let them paper cut you to death. The pass rush really was not getting home early in this game for obvious reasons. Getting the ball out early, heavy reliance on the run game. The very first time the Giants did a legit drop back and left TJ one-on-one with a tackle, he was able to hit Jones the very first time. And they didn't do it again until the second half. They made sure they had him taken care of, as they like to say, 4 hands on him. At a certain point, hubris got the better of the Giants in the second half, and they again decided to leave him alone on an island with their tackle, and he immediately ripped off 2 sacks. I'm sorry, little birdie on my ear is telling me that that second sack was actually Alex Highsmith, and I'm mistaken because Alex was actually coming off the side that TJ usually comes off of. They swapped on me. They pulled a fast one. They fooled me, Jerry! I'm sure Alex Highsmith considers it a compliment of the highest level to mistake him with TJ Watt. And the craziest thing about that whole situation is they have a third guy who comes in when those studs get tired and need a break, who barely misses a beat compared to those guys. On a third down situation, when you need a pass rush specialist, he's probably as good as anyone in the NFL. As far as per snap production at this point, Nick Herbig is really unmatched. If he can fill out his game against the run the way that TJ Watt has, as his career has advanced, he's become not just a pass rusher that Myles Garrett is, a pass rush specialist, really, that only that one talent that Myles Garrett has, TJ Watt is able to expand upon that. In addition to his ability to now play the run, he also plays backwards, plays the pass exceptionally well. It's been said 1,000 times, I'm sure you're sick of hearing it, but the pass rush is the engine that drives this defense. When they're not getting home, the Steelers' defense is entirely defanged. They have stars at every level. Hayward, Watt, Queen, Porter, if you want to go that far, Fitzpatrick on the back end. This is a loaded defense talent-wise. They can do great things when you ask reasonable things of them. When you ask them to get 30 stops a game, they're a top 3 defense. When you ask them to get 60 stops a game, they're lucky to be in the top 20. But when the pass rush is working, it spackles over so much on the back end. Talk about rush and coverage going hand in hand. When the rush isn't working, it amplifies everything that's going wrong behind it. It wasn't a perfect symphony tonight, but I would prefer to highlight the high notes rather than the low. Dante Jackson had a great play in coverage on Neighbors early in the fourth. It looked like he had a big gain in the bag, but Jackson stayed with it on the way down. It looked like he was beat, but Jackson played through the hands, was able to knock that thing out, didn't give up on it. Unfortunately, a play later, they were able to bend a inside zone run back to the backside and had 3 Steelers collide with each other, which opened up a lane all the way to the end zone. Cycle for 2 at 23-15. If it were me, I would have kicked it to come within 7. And then if you score again late, obviously you have a lot of momentum in your favor. At that point, then you have the choice to either kick the field goal for the tie or go for the win with the 2-point conversion. Brian DeBolt didn't feel like waiting around on it, wanted to go for the points up front. Their 2-point attempt, Penn State fans would recognize that as an Andy Kotelnicki special. They had the lonesome polecat or swinging gate, whatever you want to call it, to the left of the screen. Unfortunately, Highsmith also recognized that instantly and got there the second the ball did and blew that thing up. As much as I love to see that as a Penn State fan, I love to see it fail even more as a Steelers fan. Alex Highsmith continuing his big night. I'm seeing here 2 sacks on the day and 4 more quarterback hits. So a great day there for Highsmith opposite TJ Watt. Great day all in all for the Steelers pass rush. They had it working today. Unfortunately, the defense was put back out onto the field after they punch-out turnover against Russell Wilson. So they're back to work with 4.5 minutes in the game, 37-yard cushion, and 7 points to give. First down, Cam Hayward, that run stuff that concussed their running back. Feel bad for him. I think he had about 150 rushing yards on the day. Hard way to get taken out of that game. But on the second down play, Daniel Jones almost able to escape, but Watt came off of his block, able to contain the scramble, set up the third down play, and it's a classic, another TJ Watt strip sack. It's a third down play. You need a touchdown. You have your running back in. You release him as an extra pass option instead of keeping him in to protect. You have your backup tackle in the field against TJ Watt, the best in the world. You're going to leave him one-on-one against a backup tackle?
You're going to give Dave Hudson, a rookie, some help? That's what you get if you're going to leave him one-on-one.
This is what TJ Watt does best, and he's the best in the best I've seen at it. He is a Malcolm Gladwellian expert in how a football bounces off of grass. We saw him a couple games ago after he picked up a turnover, throw the ball onto the ground, watch it bounce up into the air, and then just let it drop back into his breadbasket. He knew when he bounced that ball exactly where it was going to come down. Nobody can predict where a football bounces. Why bother practicing it? Unless you want to be the best in the freaking world, as TJ Watt wants to be, wanted to be, and now is, because he practices how a football bounces. Chop it out, secure the loose change, game over, right? Not so fast, my friend. Najee tried to run it out. He did a good job. Got one first down, and a couple penalties too. But the Giants had a couple timeouts, 2 minute warning, set up the last fourth down. The Steelers punted right on the other side of the 2 minute warning. 2 minutes to go in the game. One last chance. If you had on your bingo card another Beanie Bishop interception, well, come to think of it, a lot of people probably did. A lot of people probably bet on that, made a lot of money tonight. But, TJ Watt is so used to having those game sealing plays. This week it was Beanie Bishop's turn. Cam Sutton should be cleared after the bye week to return from his suspension, but with the way Bishop's playing, he might not have a job to come back to. I'll wrap it up talking about special teams. Calvin Austin. I think we all thought it was wasted energy when we saw the flag fly. I think we all thought it was roughing the kicker, or at least running into. Both Peyton and Eli on the Manning cast were shocked that that flag was on the Giants and not the Steelers there. On the next play, Austin followed it up, the next punt return, with a great bluff to keep the Giants sniffing around him up by the 20 and not, where the ball ended up, back by the end zone. And they would have had a great chance to pin the Steelers deep there had they not bought into the bluff there. So, two great plays by Austin on special teams, in addition to the great touchdown reception that he had. Austin, in addition to Jefferson, I think is another guy who it's time to issue a couple apologies to. I think the platoon of those two guys might be a little bit better than you think. They might not be world beaters, but they'd be good enough in concert with George Pickens, in concert with Pat Fryermuth, and this great rushing attack that we hope will someday gel if we get Zach Frazier back going, especially.